All right. Welcome to my Wednesday talk. Today I'm interviewing my friend and colleague, Decluttering Coach Kendra Sandoval. I was trying to remember how we met each other in Denver. Well,
Um,
I appreciate you coming to talk about decluttering. It was definitely an issue for me. And I've heard recently there's this interesting idea that when you have a whole bunch of stuff going on in your life and you feel overwhelmed, taking on another challenge that you chose that is simple, like cleaning, like organizing a bookshelf, can actually reduce the overwhelm. Have you
Right.
heard that?
Yeah, and I've experienced it. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, and many of my clients have experienced it too. I think one of the really interesting phenomenons is that when you have a space, let's say a bookshelf, that you've
Yeah.
been wanting to declutter or reorganize,
Yeah.
you have this idea that you want to get it done, but you also have an idea that it's going to take a really long time.
Right.
And the truth is that if
Yeah.
you set aside a half an hour on a Saturday,
Right.
you
Right.
probably would get it done in a half an hour. But the
Right.
fact you think it's going to take three
Yeah.
weeks or something is just, it's not going to
Right.
take that long. And it's really
Right.
having a method and not even really a method, but kind of following your instinct around if you're talking about a bookshelf, it's like, I kind of already know what books I don't really want on there. I
Right.
already know that I
Right.
want a couple of really nice pieces that my mom gave me of
Yeah.
art, or I
Right.
want a piece of pottery, or right.
Right.
We kind of already have an idea of things, but
Uh-huh.
it's putting it into action, kind of like the things you're teaching and helping, which
Yeah.
is like this weight loss that stays in the back of our mind. And we're like,
Yeah.
I want to
It's
get to it. I want to
it's
get to it, but I don't.
draining. Yes. It's
Totally.
so
And it's just,
draining to keep putting it off, that
yes,
procrastination thing. Yeah.
the procrastination thing is so real instead of just
Yeah.
diving in.
Yes. Oh, I have to tell you, when I decided I was going to move to Mexico and I thought about selling my house, I mean,
Yeah.
I was having nightmares about drowning and stuff. I was so upset. And it's actually one of the reasons I thought I got to move because I
Yeah,
can't stop the drowning until I have to. I had to get into this
that's true.
force myself position. Do you find that with people you work with?
100%. And I actually have a very, very good friend who has moved a lot in her life.
Mm.
And it's been very easy for her to keep things more minimal because
Yes.
she's constantly deciding what it is that's really important to her or what's not.
Right. Right.
And what's really neat is she's over the years that we've known each other, she's given me lots of different things like tables or
Oh, yeah.
um and then she comes to visit and they're in my house.
That's
And
neat.
it's really
Yeah.
special because it holds, like, one of these really beautiful tables just holds a really nice Buddha in one of the areas in
Uh-huh.
my
Uh-huh.
in my other living room. And then it's simple because
Yeah.
she sees it, she knows it made a difference in my life. She's not carrying it around.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes a big difference not to feel held down with some of the things that are keeping you
Mm,
trapped, kind of.
yeah. It makes me wonder about what kind of overwhelm have you seen from people when they come to you and sort of what's the impetus? Is there like I find with healthy eating and weight loss, a lot of times it's like, my parent just got diagnosed with dementia and I
Yes.
don't want to go down the same path. And I think I might be. Even though I think I eat healthy, but I also think I'm not headed in a great direction. There's like this back and forth. I think I'm pretty good, but I really could kind of use some help. Do you
Yeah.
find that with the cluttering issue?
Absolutely. It's so interesting that people are like, one of the things I find a lot is that people have other people's stuff. So people will move, or
Oh,
people will
yeah.
pass away,
Yeah.
or people will even move in with people, but they won't take stuff when they leave. And
Uh,
obviously, when people pass away, they don't take
yes.
anything. And so then folks are very overwhelmed with stuff, like, kind of like I said,
Yes.
the table that my girlfriend gave me. If I
Yes.
had 15 of those tables, I would feel overwhelmed also. Right. And so
Yes.
but when I think of some of the things she's given me, it's like I can't keep it all, and neither
Yeah.
can other people, but they don't know where to start. I would say
Yeah.
they just don't know where to start, and they don't know kind of when it's done. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
well,
that's
when am I
true.
done giving all
Yeah.
this stuff away? And then what you
Right.
find is like, I kind of want to keep going, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of sick of my underwear drawer too. I'm kind of
Right.
sick of my
Right.
t-shirt drawer too.
Right.
I'm kind of tired of
Right.
like the bottom shelf of the closet, right?
Oh,
All these
that's
weird
so
things that
good.
and
Yeah.
it's exciting because once you realize like I really want my socks, say,
Right.
for this season to live in this drawer,
Right.
you really don't have any more decisions to make except say in the northern hemisphere,
Mm.
where I am in Denver, I need winter socks. And
Yeah.
so then I just changed the socks out. So I put these
Right.
socks that are summer socks into a
Right.
bag and I
Right.
put them in with the,
Yeah.
one drawer that has summer stuff, but that took years, Ginny,
Just to get organized with it, just
just
to
to
figure
figure
it
out
out.
how to do that. Yes, it
So,
took me
so
years.
how did you get passionate about this? Was it something you struggled with yourself?
Well, I'll tell you what happened is I had a real bad bone on bone situation. I had bone on bone arthritis in my right hip as a young woman.
Oh,
And so at 29, I felt the first tinge of pain in my hip. And then by 33, I was actually pretty sick with a bad hip. By
oh.
37, I needed a hip replacement. And my daughter,
Early.
yeah, my daughter was only 12 at the time.
Oh, uh-huh.
And so as a single parent, I had to figure out how to have the house organized so that I wasn't always organizing it. And I had to get rid of stuff because
Yeah. Okay.
if not, if you have, say, too many cups, even just too many coffee cups, you end
Yeah.
up with too many of them on the counter. So
Yeah.
you
It
need to
makes a
get rid of
mess.
some.
Yeah.
It
That
makes a
causes
mess. It's
stress.
really
Yeah.
simple things. And so it's like, well,
Oh,
7 of those coffee cups I don't really care about. So
there
I'm just going to
is
get rid of those so that the
there
other
is
ones
such
can
an
just,
overlap with eating. Like we're
I,
trying to hold on to our old ways of eating. They feel really important. I don't feel like I can let them go. It's going to be so upsetting. And
yeah,
then when we do say, I'm going to let these 3 things go, it's like
yeah,
this. People tell me all the time, this is incredibly liberating. Like
yeah,
that choice, that decision is off the table. And I have that energy for other
yeah.
things now.
That's exactly right. I loved that in your 5 days. I really appreciated how you said that about the energy because you named that a lot. You
Yeah.
talked about the energy that comes back for people, and
Yes.
you named about one of your clients who was more present for her son,
Yeah.
and just spending time with him felt fun for her.
Yes.
And it really is that it's interesting because I feel like in the times that I've gained a lot of weight in my life, whether it was after I was pregnant or I've been, with the bad hip and stuff,
Yeah.
um, it really has been about like holding on, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I start to let go or shift the way I'm doing things or go back to
Mhm.
eating more fruit
Yeah.
or let go of some of the sugar cravings or
Yeah.
right, those things, then I actually do find more joy. And it's the
Yeah.
same with decluttering. It's like if you're
Yes.
holding on to that one desk or that one
Right.
chair
Right.
because you think you're going to figure out where to put it sometime,
Yeah.
it's actually causing your mind a lot of frustration because you're like, where am I going to put that chair? Where am I going to put
Right.
that chair?
Right.
Where am
Every
I going to put that
day.
chair? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's not even important to put that chair anywhere. Why are you even trying to figure it out? And if
It's
you just
funny.
took it off your plate,
I
somebody else might
remember
love that chair.
I remember studying feng shui once. Not that I was going to be super into that probably,
Yeah,
but I just remember this one concept of if you trip over an ottoman every day, move the ottoman or get rid
that's
of
right.
it.
That's right.
And it was like, oh, right? Like
That's right.
that is taking energy and it's
It's taking
frustrating.
energy.
And sometimes you even hurt yourself. And it is really the same with eating. I'm holding on, I'm holding on to this food, this drink. One of the drinks I had a really hard time letting go of was a Diet Coke.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, but it's going to be terrible to let go of Diet Coke. And it was painful, honestly. It was painful to let go of the sugar. It was painful to let go of the caffeine. But
Yeah.
once I got away from it, I had like so much more energy and freedom in my life. So I think it's got to be the same with clutter. It kind of weighs you down and gets in your way while you're trying to go through life.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're carrying it around. It's like
Yeah.
weight.
Yes.
It's like you're carrying an ottoman, a 5 pound ottoman around. Like, why are you carrying that thing in
Stop
your
it.
mind? It's so true. It's just like let the weight go, let it go. Somebody else
Yeah.
needs that ottoman. I think that's one of the most brilliant things about decluttering is that one human's trash really is another human's treasure,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like, why not let go of our own
Yeah.
trash because it's weighing us down, kind of like too much weight. And I don't
Yeah.
like that negative feeling about weight being trash in my body or something, but it is not working for me. So it's like,
Right.
why would I continue carrying it around if it's not working, even though you're right, it does feel hard in those very first days.
Yeah. There's those hard moments, that effortful time. Yeah. I was just
Totally.
thinking about how, I don't know if you've ever read Epicurus, the
No.
Epicurean magazines and stuff. It's
Mm-mm.
all about pleasure, but it's interesting when you dig into it. He talks about there being a kind of pleasure that weighs you down and harms your life. And
Mm.
so, like an addiction, for example. And the example he gives is, let's say you have a baby and you're like, this is the most awesome thing in the world. I'm going to get 20 of those. Like, not going to be awesome anymore, maybe, right? I'm going to go get as many as I can. I mean, I felt that way about certain foods and drinks for a long, long time. Like, I want to cut back, but I don't want to cut it out. I want to hold on to it. But it was the kind of pleasure that I couldn't do a little of, that would always lead to more and more and more, it would lead to excess. And I'm the same about stuff. Like, I have to really be careful about it. How do you help people with that kind of problem? Like I have, like, I just like to have my stuff. It starts to accumulate.
Well, I think we just first start with the stuff. Like, what stuff do you really like? Right?
Yeah.
Because then you would name it. And
Yeah.
so you might, let's just say, just looking at your camera or your view, you might say, I love rugs, or I
Yeah.
love some art, right?
Yeah.
And so then we would say, well, gosh, we certainly wouldn't want you to get rid of your favorite art or your favorite
Yeah.
rugs,
Yeah.
and then I might say, well, what are some things that you're not as fond of that you love? And you might say, well, I've been collecting wool sweaters for a while, but I really don't like the itchy ones, but I keep getting them because I know they're
But they're
better.
pretty.
I know the
Yeah.
raw wool is good and I know
Yeah.
I should wear it and I
Oh,
know that it was
interesting.
manufactured better. And so then I say, well, but you don't love those sweaters. And you
Yeah.
might say, no, but I need to keep them. And then I
Uh-huh.
might say, well, do you know anybody who loves wool sweaters?
Yeah.
And you might say, oh my God, my niece loves wool sweaters.
Yeah.
She loves them. And then I might say, well, maybe we just need to start with packaging those up and getting them into a present and sending them off to her. And,
Uh-huh.
and then this person might be like, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea.
Yeah.
She'll
Okay.
love them. And then it's like, you're not really even decluttering something that you love. You're decluttering
Mm.
something that you think you should love, that somebody else loves, and then you
Uh-huh.
actually give it to them and they're really happy with it, and you've offloaded something that was trying to get you to wear wool if you don't wear wool. And
Right.
I think a lot of us have things like that. It's
Yeah.
in eating, for instance, like I don't really love red foods, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
They make me hot. I feel
Uh-huh.
like even red beets or red
Uh-huh.
chili or even
Uh-huh.
strawberries make me itch. And
Uh-huh.
I'm always like, I need to figure out how to like red beets.
Oh,
And so a girlfriend of mine said to me recently, do you like gold beets? And I said, oh, I love gold beets. And she was like, well, maybe you should just eat gold beets instead of red.
yeah. So
You
just
know?
having a coach who has a slightly more you don't have the attachment to the things that they have, so you can help bring them towards letting go of that attachment.
It's
Yeah.
exactly right.
It's interesting. I had a client yesterday who was saying, I love Tex-Mex. And so we
Mm,
did work on this idea of, do you want to use the word love
mm.
for that kind of like non-nutritious stuff? Do you
Right,
want,
because there is some good food in there, right? You do have good beans if you had
yeah,
beans, some
there's
good
some stuff
cheese
in
and
there that's
some good
beneficial.
salsa. Sure.
Most of the food in our environment, once you put it all together and put it on offer, it's not very nutritious anymore.
Right, right. That's so
And
true.
so to say, I love this and I love this and I love this and I love this is like keeping an attachment to things that I don't know. So we change our mind about what we love. We change what we value because otherwise we're eating very, very poorly. But it isn't a matter of the coach saying, okay, you're not eating this anymore. Or the
No.
coach saying you're getting rid of your sweaters.
Right. The coach isn't going to do that. Right. The coach is going to
Right.
encourage you and help you to figure out what it is that you really can
Right.
start to let go of. Because it's
Right.
just the same, I'm sure, with you. And I'm making an assumption, but it's like if someone gives the sweaters away, then, maybe they realize that they don't need 3 coffee pots. They only need
Yeah.
1 coffee
Right.
pot.
Right.
Right. And that the other coffee pot is saved for this big occasion that they're going to have. And so then they
Right.
say, well, I say, well, when is that big occasion? And they say, well, I don't know, maybe someday. And I
Yeah.
say, well, what would it be? And they say, well, maybe it's they literally get to places like,
Can't
well,
think of
what
anything.
about a funeral? Like, well, am I going to need a coffee? And I'll
Right.
say to them, like, well, are you going to make coffee at the funeral? Or
Right.
you think maybe
Right.
you could just, go to the coffee shop or have somebody else stop by the
Right.
coffee shop and pick up a cup
Right.
of
The
coffee?
box. Yeah.
Right. Like, and I don't mean to be disposable or get you to throw
Yeah.
things away, but at the same time, like you waiting to make coffee at somebody's funeral is actually weighing you down.
Yeah. I think the thing that I'm hearing is there's always trade-offs. So we get very attached to what we have. We surround ourselves with what we have, but we don't recognize what it's costing us. And there's always trade-offs. So it would hurt to let go of that. When I was moving to Mexico, I went through pain all the time. Oh, I'm going to let go of this. Oh, I'm going to let go of that. It did get easier because I can't take all this stuff to Mexico. It'd be ridiculous and stupid, right? And expensive. And I don't want to get there with a house, a 3-bedroom house full of stuff. I want to be lighter than that. So yes, it hurts to let go. And at the same time, it's going to feel liberating to let go.
Yeah.
I want the liberating more than I want to maintain that attachment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I'll do resets with my clients. Like we'll actually spend a full, 40 hours in a weekend or
Mm,
in 3, 4 days
yeah.
just doing a big reset in their house, like literally like going through everything. And
Yeah.
the truth is that a 40-hour reset like that in the long run gives them thousands of hours back. It's
Right.
insane
Yes.
how much
Yes.
only 40 hours is just it
Yeah.
changes their whole life. They don't have all the stuff
Yes.
they used to have, and they
Yes.
don't have the piles of paper. They don't have all the
Yes.
decisions that have to be made in the future, which
Right.
take up a lot of future room, a lot of space in the future that's not
Exactly.
even here yet.
It's the same with eating. I feel like I got back 2 or 3 hours every single day of
Yeah.
my life. And now that's been 8 years. And, in 20
Wow.
years, it'll be 28 years, like of 2 or 3 hours a day
Yeah.
of time and energy that was being wasted on trying to recover from eating things I thought were so important and drinking things I thought were so important. There was a bit of pain letting them go because I felt so attached,
Yeah.
but the amount of benefit has been huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Huh.
brilliant. I love that.
Yeah. What do people say to you about getting help and coaching? Like, do they recognize how it's changed their lives?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would say that it's a little different probably than a weight loss in the sense that I think it's newer. I think people thinking about actually being like having a declutter coach. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I think weight loss has been something we've at least through my whole life.
Yeah.
I've been up and down, watched my mom, my aunts, my fam, right? But in decluttering, I think there's always been like this, there's these things around minimalist, or you have to be this, or you have to be that. But I think actually just decluttering a normal house
Yeah.
is kind of a newer thing. I think
Okay.
we thought like, and I don't think it's new like you do it. I think the concept of hiring someone to help you do it is new.
Yeah.
Um, because
Yeah.
it's hard. I think we think to ourselves like, why am I having trouble giving away this whatever?
Yes. We go through a lot of emotion.
We do. We
Yeah.
do. And I think sometimes it just takes somebody else saying, look, it's really okay. You don't like that
Yeah.
anymore. It's
Right.
really okay that you don't want that family heirloom anymore.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's like there's a lot of memories associated with a lot of things. And so, like,
Yes.
let's say that your grandma gave you a blanket,
Yes.
but the one time she gave you a blanket that once you got in a fight with your cousin, and she doesn't know you got in a fight with your cousin, but that was in the living room and that the
Right.
cousin threw it at you because they were mad or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
it's like, you don't want it. And so yet you're
Yeah.
keeping it and keeping it. And then pretty soon next to the blanket becomes the lamp. And then next to the lamp
Yeah.
becomes because you think it's all, you keep it all.
Right.
And
It's
instead
all
of being
wrapped
like,
up with love and family. Food is like that too. Like
yes,
I can't get rid of popcorn because it was all wrapped up with love and family time. And like, will I lose all the love in my, it's almost that crazy, right? Our
no,
attachments
because I feel that
feel
way
so
with
important.
coffee at this point.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I love coffee. I really
Yeah.
do. I love coffee and but the truth is coffee doesn't love me like it used to.
Really?
And,
Yeah. Right.
I don't have sugar in my coffee anymore like I used to
Yeah.
when I was growing up, but I still use cream. And
Yeah.
I don't love using almond milk and I don't love using oat milk. And I know that I need to have protein before I have my coffee in the morning and
Yeah.
blah, 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 all these things that I'm
It's
trying to
complicating
do,
things. Yeah.
complicating.
Yeah.
And yet coffee for a while, I was like, well, I'll put the half and half in and that'll count as my morning protein.
Right.
That wasn't the right. You know what I mean? And that's like, that
Not
took a long
much.
time.
Yeah.
Totally. I was like, that is not working, Kendra.
Yeah, yeah, funny. It is funny, the attachments. I think this is why getting a coach is very helpful
Me
because
too.
you got all these memories and all these emotions wrapped up in all your stuff and your food and etc. And
Yeah.
letting go of that, just having somebody who cares about you by your side who doesn't have the same attachments
Yeah.
helps, right? Do you
It
find
does.
that? I mean, I find with healthy eating and weight loss, like we have to build certain skills and overcome certain obstacles to really eat healthy in these times.
Yeah.
Like, do you find that people have to overcome certain obstacles and build certain skills so that they don't just like if you leave after the 40-hour event, it doesn't just revert right back?
Oh, for sure. But I always bring in maintenance. Like we talk about it the whole
Oh,
time.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So the whole time we're decluttering is
Yeah.
constantly about like, for instance, I don't know, like on my desk right now is sitting this remote control that goes to a
Yeah.
little heater. That's over
Yeah.
kind of by the window. And in the winter, I use it, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's sitting right here on my desk because 2 weeks ago, or even a week ago, it was still cold enough in the basement that I had to take the chill out of the air.
Yeah.
So, but this little thing should not live on my desk all summer
Right.
because it doesn't belong here. It belongs
Right.
on the heater,
Right.
right? And so those are really interesting things because it takes effort to shift seasonally.
It does.
It
It like
does.
you have to carve out some time. You know what
Just a
that makes
little.
me think about is when the reason I got into running a Montessori school, I trained as a child psychologist and I went into this Montessori school, mostly Head Start kids, not rich kids, but the 1-year-olds looked more mature and more emotionally organized than most 4-year-olds I knew. And I was in tears watching these kids, like they were serving each other bread and they were like very courteous and very organized. And I thought, I got to figure out what this is. This is astounding. I've actually written a book about toddlers because they are astounding when you let them do stuff. And it's not the way we're approaching toddlers. Anyway, in a Montessori school, one of the principles is a place for everything and everything in its place.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the reasons the children are so capable and so courteous and so considerate is they're organized. They're not in this, most preschools have this very cluttered look.
Mm.
And you actually, if you go around and look at pictures, they're extremely cluttered and people think this is so cute. Well, it
Yeah.
may be cute, but it's very disorganizing to children and they have to cry and ask for adult help all the time. In a well-designed, well-run Montessori school, they know where everything is. They know how to get it. They know where to put it back. And they are just amazingly calm. It's
That's
so
decluttering,
touching,
isn't it? That
isn't
is
it?
decluttering and organizing. That's it right there. You just
Yeah.
said it. Like
Yes.
that's it. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I had to pay somebody to help me with decluttering. I don't think you were doing it at the time, but
No.
I had somebody coming, well, every week for a while. Okay, we're going to tackle this room.
Yeah.
And because I thought I sort of felt like it's going to kill me. It's going to kill me to try to go through all these rooms. It's so overwhelming.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think there's something to that though, in the sense that our hearts I don't know the scientific nature behind this, but our hearts can only hold so much emotion at one moment. And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
truth is that some days you have to be careful with decluttering because some boxes, some areas they're not all meant to be open in the same day. It's too
No,
much
that's
to deal
true.
with.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you can do your t-shirt drawer and your dresser and maybe some cupboards in the kitchen, but
Right.
moving into your storage room and your memory box,
Yeah.
I
Right.
wouldn't recommend that in the same day as your bedroom because they're
Right.
not, the bedroom is easy. It's like, well, I don't like these t-shirts anymore, but the
Right.
memory box, there's almost everything in there is nothing you want to get rid of,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, I think a lot of organizers help people make memory boxes regularly so that
Uh,
people can go back. It's like, I don't want to go through my memory box at 53. I'll go through my memory box when I'm 75.
right.
And if I
Right.
don't make it to 75, someone else is going to go through my
Right.
memory box,
Right.
right? But the truth is I don't want to leave 92 memory boxes
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's not a fun memory for anybody. My child does not want to
Right.
declutter
Yeah.
92 boxes of
Yeah.
memories. They want
Right.
one. They want
Right.
one box that says, oh, my
Right.
mom saved this thing from when she was
Right. This
5,
is
right?
important. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's really, I
I
think,
really appreciate that my mom really decluttered because my stepdad was a huge clutterer, probably a hoarder.
yeah,
And I was scared what we were going to inherit, but she had gone through it every 6 months after he died. So it
amazing.
wasn't bad. There were, 200 boxes of puzzles.
Yeah.
I can take those to somebody. There were a lot of piano books. But what was really sweet is she had written what the last time she played each piece.
Oh,
It
how
just
sweet
gave
is
me,
that?
I know, it just gave me a sense of just what an organized person she was, right?
For
And
real.
like she was every day playing the piano, every day doing puzzles, 3 days a week doing bridge. Like the way she was keeping herself mentally
Yeah.
together, I appreciated it. I could
That's
see it.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because in one of your I can't remember exactly what phase it was, but you say to keep the food journal. And
Mm.
I thought a lot about that. I've tried to keep a food
Hmm.
journal in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And then I tried an app. I think I had talked to you about this. I started doing
Yeah.
intermittent fasting. And so I was
Yeah.
keeping it on the app. And I actually found that really hard. And I
Yeah.
think to myself, like, I would love to recommend oftentimes for my clients to keep a journal, but
Uh-huh.
I have a really hard time doing that.
Yeah.
I
It's
just,
not easy and it's not
it's
fun.
hard, huh?
It's a way of forcing yourself to awareness of something you
Yeah.
may not want to be aware of. Like
Yeah.
we talk about that in my program all the time. Like you don't necessarily want to do it your whole life. But if you're not getting the weight loss you think you should be getting and you're asserting, I think I'm eating this way, it's a
Yeah.
kind of sort of maybe, then a food journal can help us get honest about what we're doing. What else would you like people to know about decluttering? It's a great conversation.
Well, I just want people to know that it's totally feasible and doable and that it doesn't
Mm.
even matter how much clutter you have. I don't even, if you think you're a hoarder, you
Yeah.
can just get started right now. We can get
Yeah.
rid of all that. In 1 year, your house would look so different. And the reason I would say a year, if you were a hoarder and you thought you were a hoarder, is because you might have more stuff to get rid of.
Yeah.
But it's only because it takes time and I don't want to overwhelm the heart. Like I said, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
mind can't do that many decisions that fast. So
Right.
I just
Right.
want people to know it's totally feasible. You can totally do it. And there's actually so many people that are having people help them declutter because all of us are being constantly bombarded with buy this, buy this, buy this, buy
Yes.
this.
Yes.
So
Another
it's not
reason I
really our
wanted to
fault that we
move,
don't know how.
I wanted to move to Mexico partly because it would force me to declutter and it would help me get out of the constant consumption, retail therapy kind of
Yeah,
mentality, which
that's
is
beautiful.
just not really the mentality here, I don't think. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's helpful. Like it didn't feel like something I could interrupt very well. Probably should have gotten a coach.
Well, it's hard. I mean,
Yeah.
I think again, coaching is such a new field in so many ways. It's been
Yeah.
around a while now, but I think for most people, they're not even knowing, oh, I could get a coach. So
Yeah.
I think it's really exciting that we're doing
It's
coaching. And
exciting. I love it. Yeah.
it's
It's
so
so
different in that.
rewarding.
It's so
Yeah.
rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have like a somebody that you helped who particularly got big benefits that you
Oh
can
my gosh, I
describe?
have one client who she called me up about, well, it's already been a couple of years now. And I went in and we did a whole decluttering. One of the first days was like a huge 13-hour day. And we worked on it a couple of different days. And then 6 months later, she had we did another session. And then she called and said she was moving. Her whole goal had been to declutter her house so she could figure out her next path.
Yeah.
She ended up buying a house in Kansas City. We
Uh-huh.
moved her out to Kansas City, and then she bought another place in Portugal. She started a career in Portugal.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, she's amazing, and she has
Yeah.
done such incredible things, and she just loves it. And she's always promoting and saying, Kendra, it's because we cleared the clutter that I was able
Yes.
to figure out the
Oh,
next path of my life and sell my
oh.
house. And
Isn't that great?
I mean, it's amazing, and she just
Yeah.
loves it. Yeah, she's really done just spectacular things in the last couple of years after clearing her clutter. And she
I
felt super cluttered. She felt like stuck
like
in a 600
overwhelmed.
square foot,
Yes.
overwhelmed. And she
Yeah.
she did it. We did it, and we got her out, and she's moving on with her life.
I
Very
think if we
exciting.
feel overwhelmed, we need to tackle the overwhelm. Like what would help me? Would decluttering help me? Yeah. Like don't just keep living there. Get away.
I know, don't keep being overwhelmed, folks.
Yeah.
Just
It's
it's easy to get out of overwhelm, even in a day. I can get
yeah.
you out of overwhelm with clutter
Yeah.
in a day, just like you can get somebody
Right.
out of overwhelm with a plan. We help
Yes.
people make plans.
Yes.
I
A
help you
plan
make
that's
a plan
going to
for
work.
decluttering,
Right.
and it
You don't have
works.
to start from scratch with this and recreate the wheel. People have
No,
figured
you
this
don't.
out and you can go to them. How can people get a hold of you if they wanted to get your help, or do you only do in-person help?
No, I don't. They can actually, probably the very best way is to go to my website right now. It's kendrasandoval.com, and they can go ahead and they can get on and they can schedule a time with me right off the bat. There's a link right at the
Nice.
top. Yep.
Well, like people like to have different options for like what will work for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and this one is about life change. So when you have a big life change, how to declutter, and here's 4 methods for doing that.
Because those are really good moments to do that.
It is
Yeah.
because you're in a transition space
Right.
and time kind of opens up, right? So you have a
Right.
little bit more. So it's like get that
Yeah.
done so that the next phase you don't have that in your mind. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was thinking how I feel like I always looked at coaches and thought, I want to do that. Right.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
as versus being a psychologist or somebody who runs programs, I really thought being a coach looked like the best thing in the world. Like start with people who are already smart and skilled and help them take the next step with their life to open it up and make it great. And I only was able to do that when I changed my eating and got so much time and energy back. It's like, I'm going to do this. I'm done with looking at other people and saying, how do they get to do that? I'm just going to do it. I never could have done it without changing my diet because I didn't have the energy.
No, I know what you mean. Me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither with stuff around all the time. And with having
Yeah.
chronic pain like I have,
Yes.
it's hard to actually know when it's going to flare up. And so to have
Right.
your house organized makes it a lot easier.
A lot easier. Oh, thank you so much for taking time to have this conversation today. I loved it. But anyway, I hope people found it helpful. I really appreciate it. All right. Take care.
Thank you.